Hey, this is Edwin Dearborn, another edition of Growth Driven. And if you are wanting to learn about sales and how to fill the gap on creating massive success, you are going to absolutely be blown away with my guest today, Corrie George. Hey, Corrie, thanks so much for joining me here today on Growth Driven.
Edwin, good to be here, man.
Yeah. So we've been attempting to get with each other. I've been attempting to get in front of you. I know you're super busy, so thank you for taking the time. And the reason I really wanted you on the show is I could see your drive, your focus, and your commitment to excellence with what you're doing. And I know that from everything I do, sales and marketing is a massive weakness in business, and it's a massive strength for you. So tell me, how'd you get started in sales? Tell me where this whole journey of yours began.
Yeah, well, firstly, thanks for having me on here. You know, it takes courage to do what you're doing, to put yourself out there. You know, I literally just got into the online space. This is, I can flip up and show you, we're literally building a podcast studio here right now. And, you know, I just want to say it takes a lot to put yourself out there, you know, to host these things. People don't realize the amount of work it is. Right. And I just started doing interviews myself, and I realized how hard it is because I kept talking over everybody. So, I mean, for real, I had to throw it an entire interview, throw it in the garbage because it might as well have been called Corrie Interviews Himself and has a multinational CEO make a comment or two. So just want to, you know, say congrats to you on what you're doing and spreading the word and putting yourself out there. You know, you risk, you risk criticism, you risk, critique and people, basically having issue with what you're doing. So I really appreciate being here. My name is Corrie George, obviously, you know that. But for the audience, I got started in sales when I was 11 years old, really. But I didn't officially start really working in sales. No, actually, to be frank, when I was 11 years old, I mean, that's really when it started. I'm a dirt bike guy. I bought a 1971 CT70 when I was 11 years old. It's a Honda mini bike. And my dad bought me the bike. It needed a motor. It needed a piston. It needed, carburetor overhaul. It needed a full rehab, the entire bike. And my dad's like, all right, well, figure out how to buy all these parts. It needs about $1,000 worth of work. He's like, go knock some doors. That's how it started for me. And then if we fast forward today, and then maybe we can bridge the gap with the podcast. I'm not sure how you want to roll with it. And now today I own 2 sales companies. Pre-COVID, we were between $7.5 and $8 million in annual revenue.
Wow.
Took a huge haircut on that we got cut in half last year down to about 4 million. But by December, we were back up to that 750 a month mark, which is really 750K. So we're on the way back, but yeah, 2020 was interesting. That's where I am now. So started knocking doors when I was 11. Now I own 2 companies. I'm turning 31 this year.
That's awesome. Well, congratulations. It's interesting that you bring that up about you had a passion for motorcycles and at a young age, you had to go out and hustle to make your passion. Yeah. When I interview entrepreneurs and when they, particularly if their strong suit is sales, they have a similar story, which is they wanted something really badly, whether it was a car, motorcycle, to take a girl out.
Yeah. I got into the car thing too. I got into the car thing as well.
And then they just figured out some way, sell lemonade, paper route, ball card flipping, whatever it was. They just found something and they realized that to get where they wanted to go was selling. Yeah.
I mean, I learned it, I guess, automatically that way. My dad made me shovel. I went and shoveled. He didn't make me do anything, actually. He just said, figure out how to pay for it. And it was the winter. He brought the bike home in October, November. I grew up camping in the bush. I'm a blue collar guy turned white collar. And he brought the bike home. And he's like, hey, Corrie, come get your crap out of the back of my truck. And I ran downstairs. I'm like, what did I leave in his truck? And I opened the front door. He's got his pickup truck there. And there's this like old 1970 mini bike in the back. Mm-hmm. And I started shoveling driveways, salting. I built these little sheets that were like monthly contracts for me to remove your snow. And I was 11 years old, turning 12, but 11 years old. And that's how I started. And it's funny because I learned some habits of just keep knocking. You know, like when you're young, you don't have all this baggage. You don't have all these ideas attached to rejection. You just like, oh, that guy doesn't want it. You know, you take an 11-year-old kid, you put him on the door, he knocks the door. He doesn't know how to objection handle correctly. You know, he knows how to pitch the idea. He's pretty persistent because he's a kid. Kids are kids. They're persistent. And then, you know, if someone didn't want it, you didn't make that about you. You know, you'd be like, oh, like, I'm no good. Oh, I'm not cut out for this. Like, you're a kid. You just like, all right, I'll just go to the next door and go to the next door and go to the next door and go to the next door until you hit your target or you got too tired to shovel the snow. That happened with me before. And that's how I learned, you know. That's not how I learned. That's how I got started.
That's how you get started. But that grounding then built in some great habits. Like you said, you had that consistency and persistency.
Yeah.
Which still is, you know, incredibly important today.
Persistence with people. I mean, there's so many people online that are posting one-liners. Everybody wants a one-liner. They want a maxim or an axiom for life in one quote. And there are none. I mean, there are multiple, you know, but one of the keys of success, they say, is persistence. But I mean, you're going to persist either way. I mean, Shia, you getting hit by a bus, you're gonna persist. So that's not really it, in my opinion. It's learning how to persist with people, you know, learning how to stay in that conversation with your intention and not have them sway your intention, you know, staying in that conversation, going for what you want, going for it again in a clever, respectful, agreeable way. And if you can learn how to stay in a conversation with someone and not shut it down and not let your own emotional triggers shut you down, you could be really successful. So I learned how to be persistent with people at a young age, you know, like lean on people. And I learned that. And from there, I mean, you know, that's the makeup of the marketplace. It's all people.
It really is. And I like how you articulated it, that it's not just persistence, but persistence with people.
Yeah.
Now you have an organization, YESACA.ca is Canada, because you are in Canada.
Yeah, I wanted to buy the yesa.com as well, but when we went to buy it, we were a brand new business, and they're like, "Oh, we want 2,500." We're like, "Perfect." So we went to buy it for 2,500, and they're like, "No, we want 12,000." And I'm like, right now I'm brand new. I'm not going to do that. I should probably go and buy it now, but yeah. So yesa.ca stands for Young Entrepreneurs Sales Academy. YESA. It's a bit of a play on words. So Yes Academy.
Yes. Okay,
so
I get it.
People how to get to yes.
I love that. Okay, so tell me, if they go to the website and they sign up for you, tell me what is unique. I mean, there's a lot of sales training programs out there.
Yeah.
I know that you've got a unique approach and a system. Can you speak to that approach and system?
Well, yeah, I mean, like most personal development doesn't work for people because they're paying for a course or workshop that they're going to go to for a weekend. They're going to go to, you know, for a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. They're going to go to a one-day evening seminar. And then they're going to go back to their household. They're going to go back to their same job. They're going to go back to their same friends. And, you know, they're going to get a dose of the light. They're not really going to be educated in it. They're just going to be informed of it. And then they're going to go and they're going to be surrounded by all the same people that, you know, influenced them and where they created the mess in the first place. So what I realized is, first of all, most people who are reaching for personal development are broke, or, you know, they're not in an amazing position, because most people aren't aware enough. Right? You're targeting a market. Most people aren't aware enough to where they're doing well. They'll reach for help. People who are doing well in our society, they're doing well until they're not doing well. So meaning like they think they're doing awesome, but they probably could be doing a lot better. So those people generally don't reach. It's the people who are not doing well that want personal development. And those people don't have any money. So I'm like, okay, well, what if instead of selling a course to them, I gave them a job? So I go after contracts with companies. So big telecom company, a big sales training company, a solar company, let's say. I don't have any solar clients right now. And let's say they want to sell a product into the marketplace.
Yep.
There's a ton of entry-level sales jobs on the market that companies can't fill. They just, so there's this void, there's this gap. All these companies have these entry-level sales positions that are empty. Then there's a gap in the sense of all these kids are coming out of school and they're not ready for the senior level sales jobs. They're not ready for the marketing positions. They're not ready for the management roles. So I fill the gap. I'm like, hey, I'm going to turn these entry-level sales jobs. So I go after contracts. So let's say you sold telecom and you had a new fiber optic network that you wanted to market into a particular city.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to take care of the build of the network and the servicing of it. You're going to contract me. You're going to say, hey, we could fit 50 people in this city of salespeople. I'll take the contract. You'll pay me per sale. I'll go hire 50 people. And then what I do is I turn the sales opportunity into the practicum. So the kid still gets paid. That's his practice place. He's going to do the sales job every day. He's going to apply what he learns. And then in the morning, he's going to study with me. He's going to do personal development. He's going to do public speaking training. He's going to do negotiation training. He's going to do objection training. So we are the first get paid while you learn academy. You know?
I love that. I think that's actually brilliant. And you know what I like about it, because there's so many experts. Gary Vaynerchuk is probably one of the more celebrated guys who's saying college is dead for a lot of things. Obviously, you're going to become a doctor or a lawyer.
Yeah.
You got to have a degree.
100%.
But
if I break my leg, don't rub some kale on it. Like, I don't want to see a shaman. I want to go to Tony Robbins and have him talk about my beliefs. I want to get my leg fixed.
Yeah, you want a real doctor with an actual degree who went to a real hospital. And
doctors, lawyers, welders, tradesmen.
Mm-hmm.
The system works for them, but that's because they get real world experience, right? I mean, when's the last time a plumber showed up to your house? He's like, oh, I graduated for plumbing, but I don't know how to plumb. Can you help? You would send that plumber home. Electrician shows up to your house, doesn't know the difference between 220 and 110, or you be like, man, like, what school did you go to? That would be unacceptable. Like, welders know how to weld, plumbers know how to plumb, nurses know how to nurse, but our business graduates don't know shit. Pardon my language. You might have to beep that up. They don't know anything about.
You can roll. There's no bleeping.
They don't know anything about running a business. These MBAs, they come out and it's like, all right, well, if you went to school for business, if I'm running a sports academy, if I'm running a hockey camp, and my graduates coming out of hockey camp can't play hockey, then my camp's not going to last very long.
Right.
But in our world, if it's run by the government or it gets funding from the government and a bunch of parents are indoctrinated into believing that my hockey camp's the best, then that's a perpetuating scam, really. I mean, if you go into a school to learn business and you can't come out and run a profitable business, you got scammed. No one wants to say it. They all want to make excuses for it because they went 50 grand in debt for it or 100 grand in debt for it. And no one wants to admit the mistake. I went to school. I admit the mistake. We're getting shafted on the business schools. The business schools are a joke, period.
Yes, they are. So now guy comes out of business school, knows he can't run a business, knows he can't sell. So you match the guy that needs the skills with the company that could scale a business and maybe doesn't want to pay top tier dollars. And then you bring them together to make them work together. Yep.
No, I manage them. So basically when someone from Verizon calls you, okay, let's say, because you're in the US, that's your company, one of your companies down there, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That person likely doesn't work for Verizon. They work for a third-party contractor that manages sales, because these big corporations don't know how to communicate to millennials. They don't know how to educate millennials. You're talking about a short attention span, purpose-driven, but absolutely no strategic thinking training at all in these millennials. And the next generation, this Gen Z or whatever, they're even worse. Shorter attention span, higher expectation, less skill. So, they don't know how to do that. I do. I know how to take millennials. I've trained, like I said, I told you before, over 5,000 of them. I know how to get them to pay attention. We know how to educate them. We know how to get them on purpose, and we know how to get them to make money. I mean, I've had over 50 people now work for me under the age of 30 break the 6-figure mark. 95% of them, no university education.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
So now, so if somebody wants to work with you, is there a minimum amount of people that they have to hire for you? Is there a minimum contract, or is it hey, I can get one guy or two people.
No, so how it works is this. So I go in two different directions. First, I market to a big corporate client. Getting those for me is pretty easy. Like I'm approached all the time. Hey, can you build us a sales team? The answer is generally no. I have a prerequisite that I look at when I investigate an opportunity. Do you have the services to back up what I sell? Meaning if I go out and sell 100,000 of your product or services or units of what you're selling, do you have the delivery, the logistics, the operations, the billing to handle that kind of growth? And can you pay the bill? So generally speaking, I go after businesses that are already in business for a long time. I'm going after blue chip companies. I'm going after recognizable brands. And I'm looking for businesses that align with my values. I do not sell for big pharma. I do not sell for corporations that sell products that, are made in China most of the time. I don't partner with businesses that, sell something that's not ethically aligned with me. So those are some of our prerequisites. I grab those contracts and then I go and I say, great. So I now own the exclusive rights to sell in the city of Vancouver for your product. I build my own sales team. I train my sales team. I put them through a 2-week onboarding where they literally go through everything from goal setting to how to pick your friends. Literally, we have a training where they go through their Instagram, their Facebook, and first there's a list of traits that they're going to look for in their friends and family. There's a set of characteristics that they're going to identify. And they're going to basically go through and they're going to unfollow and unfriend and clean up their social media feeds, clean up their networks, and they're going to choose their mentors. So we get them to pick their goals, and then we're going to say, great, does mommy and daddy you want to make $1 million a year? Does your mom make $1 million a year? No. Okay. So you're not cutting her out. She's great. She's encouraging, but we're going to stop getting advice from mommy and daddy. Like a lot of these 20-year-olds that come and work with me, they're still influenced by their parents. Yeah. They're broke. Parents don't have any money. Their parents don't have a passionate relationship. Their parents don't have, a lot of vitality and excitement with their health. They don't have time freedom. So we first things that we do with these kids is we actually educate them to let go of their current opinion leaders. Get them to let go of getting advice from their buddy who smokes weed, getting advice from their mom and dad who don't make any money. While they're all well-meaning, if my best friend puts a drop of poison in my coffee every day, doesn't know he's doing it, it's still poison. So that's what we do. We help the young guy mold his life, pick his goals, reduce his negative influences, use positive influences, and then we put him through daily sales training, drilling, practice, exercise, and then we give him a job. He goes out and sells every day, 5 days a week, 5 to 6.
That's great. I like the fact that you're detoxing the antisocial people and not only just the antisocial people, but you're also kind of removing the people that are lowering their expectations of themselves and their goals. Because if they've got this star high goal and mom and dad are going, bringing down the goalposts all the time, or their friends smoking weed, whoever it is, it's like you're fighting this constant counter intention, and you just have them clear the runway and all that.
I mean, that's completely it. The person wants to expand their reality, right? If it's a grind, because everyone talks about the grind, right? All these self-help guys, it's the grind, respect the grind, the grind, the grind. A grind by nature is two things moving in opposite directions that are in contact with each other. That's correct, right? If I'm grinding two pieces of metal, one goes in one direction, one goes in another. If your life's a grind, you have people or ideas that are opposing the direction you're going in close contact with you. So what we do, life should not be a grind. That's how you get sick. I wanted to keep everyone in my life. I'm like, I grew up with these guys, I owe them. I don't owe them anything. Like if I'm in debt to you from some obligation, okay, I'll repay that. But just because we went to high school together, just because I used to work for you at a past company, if I exchanged with you at that past company and now we're done and I'm somewhere else, I don't need to keep you in my life. I could see you at Christmas if we're buddies. But I mean, if you're telling me how I need to slow down, how I'm working so hard, I need to have a beer and relax, like you're giving me counter intention, bad ideas that are not helping me get where I want to go, then that makes life a grind. That's when you wake up and you're tired all the time. That's when you go to work and you got this pit in your stomach. And if you keep that up, you get sick. And I've been sick. I've been I've knocked on the doorstep of death sick, and that's because I kept people in my life, old bosses, old connections, employees, business partners that had ideas of keeping me small or preventing me from taking over. And they guised themselves as my friend by introducing ideas to me that would keep me small, would keep me in doubt. Oh, you shouldn't do that. We're not so sure about that. Hey, man, you should really look at like the kind of risk that's going to, like, dude, I got my own baggage. I don't need more of yours.
Yeah, totally.
Grind thing. Things are a grind. You got people in your environment that are pushing in the opposite direction. So just isolate those and remove them. I pick my friends around my goals. I don't pick my goals around my friends.
Yeah, I like that. And I like how you defined grind and just giving that almost mechanical definition, if you will. It's like, you don't want your motorcycle engine grinding. Why would you want your life to grind?
I want everything to be smooth, man. Now it's not going. There's enough counterintention coming from politicians, from corporations, from special interest groups. We got a lot of bureaucracy up here in Canada, a lot of socialistic ideas that I'm working against. They're trying to tell me when I can't open my business. So I have to deal with that. I don't need more doubt in my environment from my network.
Yeah, totally. What are some of the things?
I don't know. Maybe people are watching. They're like, "Oh, dude, this." But like, I have an obligation to my purposes and my goals. Like, can I show you guys? Like, look, I got 15 people out there who are making cold calls right now, and they're going after their goals and dreams. My obligation is to them. These kids want help. My obligation is to my wife and my family and to take care of them. I don't have an obligation to people that want to, counteract what I'm doing just because we grew up together.
Yeah, makes sense. So when you get somebody on board and like those guys you just showed in the room.
Yeah.
So you clear the decks of the people that are counterintending them, antisocials, crazy people, whatever.
Yeah.
What are you finding are the critical skills that when you teach, you get the most progress on the fastest possible? I know that it takes time to build somebody.
Yeah.
Like an athlete, like someone who rides a motorcycle. It takes time to practice and get skills. But what are the things that you introduce right at the beginning that kind of really get them up their game?
Teach them how to learn, period. Teach them how to learn. Like, they don't know how to learn. If they knew how to learn, they wouldn't be working for me. You know what I mean? Right? Like, if they had my knowledge and they had my discipline, they would have my job. So you have to understand that you have an obligation as a business owner to take care of your people and hold them accountable and push them through stuff that they wouldn't push themselves through. Right? Like, so I look at where I'm at. I'm looking at, all right, what skill sets do I have? I can successfully do their job because I've done their job. So I have to look at, how did I come to all those cognitions? How did I come to this current mindset? How did I come to my current skill set? Reverse engineer that and build them a course, basically. But build them a course, but you don't know the fundamentals of learning. Like, if you build them a course and it's all theory, and you take a millennial and you sit him down and you talk for 3 hours straight every day for a month, sure, it's better than not doing it. But that kid, just because he wrote notes in his notebook, that doesn't mean he knows how to say it on the phone now. Like the guys who learned how to play basketball, they didn't read books on basketball. I mean, they probably did, but they also practiced. They also drilled. They also role played or did scrimmages.
Yeah.
So we treat business like a sport. It's the closest thing to relate it to. You can't learn business from a professor. You can't learn business from sitting in a boardroom and listening to somebody speak for 3 hours. You have to take a lesson, one concept, not 5, one. Take the concept. Okay, got it. I inflowed it. I took it in. Okay, great. I got to make sure I understood what you're saying. So I better be able to duplicate it back to you in new words and truly get it. Know the definitions of the words, super important. Because a lot of guys have misunderstandings. Use the word responsibility with any millennial. He'll put his back up. He's got so much emotional polarity to that word responsibility because he's been yelled at his whole life. Why don't you take responsibility? Like, what? He thinks responsibility is doing something with the dishes after dinner.
Yeah, it's a chore.
It's like responsibility is my ability to respond to my environment. It's my ability to take charge of where I'm living and be at cause. But he doesn't know that. So if we don't clear the definitions of words, I'm speaking English. He's not actually speaking English. He's speaking whatever language he was raised with.
Yeah, he's speaking pain.
He's speaking, I was going to say he's speaking peasant. I mean, to be real, people think they speak English, but they don't. They don't speak English. They don't actually, they don't really communicate correctly. Right. So, I mean, most of us were raised with a peasant mentality. We were raised with, I'm a victim, you know, and we have misunderstandings of words. So we clear up the words and then we get him to practice. So anything he inflows, anything he takes in, we make him outflow it. So I give him a concept, teach him a lesson. Then I teach him how to deliver it. Then I get him up and I'm like, all right, you deliver it now.
You know, I got to share something with you because, you know, when you say things, my mind is going. I'm trying to do the interview while also having my own realizations.
Yeah.
Them down. So if you see me writing something down, I'm not being disrespectful.
No, I get it. I do the same thing in my interviews.
Yeah, exactly. So, but I tell you something, it's like you can't build an empire with a peasant mentality. I just see that right there as a book or an ebook or something that you could be writing. I like that peasant mentality and really defining. Everybody wants to be the king. Everybody wants to be an influencer, but you're carrying around a peasant mentality. And at first it's kind of going, holy crap, I'm thinking like a peasant. Well, look at your peasant. I mean, you have peasant objects in your life.
Podcast coming out, School of the 1%. And there's a segment of the show called Peasant or Not, you know, wearing a mask in your car by yourself. Peasant or not. There's a bunch of concepts of are you a peasant, you know? And if you do a lot of these things, likely you're a modern day peasant. No one, like the ideologies that are being preached to our young people need to go back 120 years.
Yeah.
And they want work-life balance. Dude, don't talk about work-life balance. You need to prepare for the winter. You don't have enough crops right now. You don't have enough meat to salt. You know, you don't have enough in the smoker. You're not going to survive through winter. Don't talk to me about work-life balance. It's 1900. Now, 2020, we have soft men who want to talk about their Netflix subscription. They want to talk about, I want to, you know, I need to balance. Dude, like, you are so privileged. You know, I lived in a warehouse for a year to clean my life up. I wasn't talking about work-life balance. I heard a concept called work-life leverage. You were talking about peasants, by the way, and the mentality. I got all these that are going up on my wall. These are all the people that I aspire to think like, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I got Sherry Hamilton. She runs Grant Cardone's. She's Grant Cardone's COO. I got GC. I got this guy because he takes ridiculous risks and jumps over buildings. You know,
yeah.
That dude. This guy's an absolute legend of practice who literally taught himself to be a master by doing literally doubling down on all of his weaknesses. This guy elevated everybody around him. You know, this is Ricky Carmichael, the greatest motocrosser of all time. One of the only guys to actually incorporate fitness training, like incredible fitness training into his motocross career. Elena, you know, Elon Musk. You know, I got some other ones that people may not love. This dude can't be stopped. You know, it took big tech and whatever. I'm pretty dead center. I voted liberal in 2016.
Yeah.
But I mean, it took the CCP, Facebook, Google, Twitter, Apple, Amazon, and the Democrat Party, and a whole bunch of dead people to get that guy unelected. You know, if you think about it. And then I got this guy. He's a leading stem cell researcher. So I keep reminders in my space. These are all going up on the wall here of people who I need to remind myself to think like. Michael Jordan, you talk about thinking like a peasant. Everyone wants to be Mike. That was the thing in the 90s and the 80s, right?
Yeah.
Want to be like Mike. And he is in an interview and he says, everyone says they want to be like Mike, but they want to be Mike for one day. The moment they spend a whole day with me, they're like, I don't want to be Mike anymore. They don't want to wake up at 6 a.m., 5 a.m. and hit the gym for 3 hours. They don't want to do 1,000 free throws. They don't want to practice a chest pass.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll suggest somebody you got to add, and I'll let you do your Chris Carter, the Minnesota Vikings.
Okay.
He would have team practice. He built his own practice facility,
Okay.
and he would go and he would show up at practice before practice. He had his before practice, and they had to do the after practice. Then he built a practice facility for the off season where he'd go practice at the facility he built. And he's the second greatest receiver in the history of the NFL behind Jerry Rice.
Oh,
But
yeah.
the guy was like, I mean, he took his money from the NFL and built a practice facility for his own practice that he wasn't required by the team.
You know, we call business owners every day. And some of these business owners say, oh, we're good. Our guys are good. Okay, your guys are good. Michael Jordan was good. He practiced chest pass every day, every practice a chest pass. Greatest basketball player of all time. So these business owners that tell me, oh, my guys are good. They don't need to train. Okay, great. That's why they're good. That's why they're not outstanding. You know, like I've never met a great business owner who didn't believe in training his people. Period. Ever. Never, ever. You know, I meet good business owners that, you know, they missed that point. But those good business owners, good's a dangerous place to be, especially when things like COVID happen, because you think you're good, and then you're not good.
Oh, I like that. Good as I'm just.
It's a dangerous place to be. I've been good. Well, lately, I looked around because I just, you know, I go through these plateaus just like everybody else. So I just ordered a new car, and I just bought 2 dirt bikes, or bought one for my brother, bought one for me as a thank you to him for helping me through my illness. I just conquered a life-threatening illness. Just got a house on the water. Then I'm looking around and I'm patting myself on the back. What the fuck am I doing? Pardon my language. What am I doing? Like, why am I patting myself on the back? This isn't actually what I wanted. This is a stepping stone to where I'm going. And the bigger element is, who am I serving? You know, like, I could be helping way more people. I got sales guys on the sales floor right now, humbly speaking, struggling. And I'm patting myself on the back because I bought a new motorcycle.
Right.
I should pat myself on the back when I get every one of those guys to 100,000 in sales this month. You know, that's something to pat yourself on the back about, is how much can you contribute? How much can I help? How much can I give? You know, not how much can I have? That is, you know, that the havingness is a byproduct. Like, what you get, it's just a byproduct. If you're celebrating what you get, and I've fallen into that. I mean, I'm a young male, you know, I love stuff. I love fast cars. I love nice suits. But I mean, that's just a byproduct of what you do. So I just realized that, like, I got comfortable and I was good, but not great. You know, I stopped reading as much. You know what I mean? Like, you understand what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah. You start to take the pedal off the metal because you're at a high speed, and you look around comparatively, and you're doing well.
Yeah. Well,
right. I'm doing good.
Yeah.
And that's the dangerous place, because then COVID hits, and now COVID, or whatever, the next recession.
Well, people don't know. COVID hasn't hit yet. People don't know that. COVID was not the hit.
Right. I know.
The inflation of our currency hasn't hit yet. My grocery bill has gone up 40% here in Canada.
Wow.
So socialism is always a lukewarm bath in the first year or two.
Mm-hmm.
People don't, but temperature is going to go higher and higher, and higher and higher and higher. That's how it works. Is how we boil a frog, right?
Yep.
And what happens is everyone thinks, oh, everything's free. Like, oh, I'm getting my government assistance check. And little do they know that check is becoming worth less and less and less and less. The new middle class will be 300 to 500 grand.
Oh yeah.
I got guys making $100,000 a year here, right? 25 years old. Guy's driving a Subaru. He's renting out a single apartment, single bedroom, a condo. Not even downtown Vancouver. He's wearing $800 suits max. He's making 100 grand a year. In 1990, kid making 100 grand a year? No, and he's got no wife. He's got no kids. There's no way that he could support a family on $100,000 a year.
Yep.
That is not even like, people are bragging about 100 grand. It's like, you have no idea what's coming. And that's how I got lured in. Grant Cardone is such a pain in the ass to have as a mentor. I can't stand him sometimes, but it's so true. I don't know, I'm cutting you off here, but I'm just on a point.
Yeah.
Like Grant was always saying, dude, like do more, like more, like, trust me, like you need 10 times more. And I'm pretty talented. So I'm like, dude, I don't need 10 times more. Like I'm killing it. I don't need to put in 10 times my effort. Like I'm really talented. I actually am very talented.
Yeah.
You have some gifts, you know, that have come from some places. And I'm looking and I'm like, dude, like I don't need to do this 10X thing because like I'm getting the result with 2X. And he's like, dude, you never know. And you know what? He was right. Now, I got sick in 2019. Now, luckily, I wasn't really 2Xing. I'm kind of hard on myself. I was probably like 7Xing, 6Xing.
Okay.
2019, I got sick. It's taken me $250,000 to $300,000 in cash to get back on my feet. Wow. I probably spent $1 million between my personal development, my health treatments, my food in the last 3 years. $1 million to get my life back. And, you know, it's like Grant said, you're going to need more than you think, man. You're going to do. And then so after 2019, I'm like, all right, now I'm back. I'm going to kill this, blah, blah, blah. Let's roll. I went in, I bought this door-to-door company. We went all in. This door-to-door company, we basically were a subcontractor of theirs, where we went in to train their management team, and their management team sucks. So we ended up firing their management team and putting our own team in place. Then we ended up taking over the company. So we bought the business partner out, gave him $600,000, and we finalized the deal in March of 2020. Door-to-door businesses never go down. I've never had a door-to-door business go down. In recessions, they go up. But I've never had a zombie apocalypse happen. You know, I never predicted the entire planet going into a panic about a flu and shutting down my ability to make money. So I went all in with my cash reserves. Remember, I've only been in business for 3 years at this point. We put 600 grand of cash in. Okay. So you just got to understand, like, that's a big play for me. When you're only running a $4 million company, that's a lot of money.
It is.
Business shuts down 2 weeks later.
Wow.
So business shuts down. I'm personally broke because I literally spent all my money on stem cells and therapy programs and vitamins and minerals and food and doctor's visits and flying all over the world to get better. So I have no money. I mean, I've got credit, but I have no money. And now my business just went all in on this company, and it was a really good play. I mean, 600 grand, we're taking over a $4 million company. I'm like, this is a no-brainer. Business is shut down. That's my 2020. And there you go again. Should have 10x'd it because you couldn't predict getting sick in 2019. Now that the 10xing carried me through that, my team was good enough. I had put enough energy and work into my business and my clients that the business just kept running without me. 2020, you know, business was taking a bit of it. It was coming down now because I've been gone for so long. I come back in, come back to work, business shuts down. Then I got sick again because I was still in the middle of treatment. So you need to do more than you think. Like, people don't realize that.
Yeah, Corey, I think you bring up a good point, which is, look, you and I planned for the future, but we can't predict certain plays. Like the COVID, no one had that in their playbook.
Yeah.
Well, maybe a few evil people at the top did. But for the majority of us, we went, oh, okay, the economy's booming and we've got a president and we're just going to go to work and we'll just do. And all of a sudden, many of us got labeled as non-essential.
Yeah.
You are not essential. And I had a similar realization a little bit in March where I had my Jerry Maguire moment. You know, I'm up late typing, sweating because the kid called me out, you know, because his dad was in a hockey accident, right? And I'm typing and I'm going, wow, the government is willing to destroy me and eliminate me as an individual, as a company. Yeah. Just wholesale. You're gone. You're not essential. Bye-bye. Had a similar moment. I didn't have 600K, but had some money and had nothing 2 weeks later. And
well, we almost got wiped out. I mean, by June, we were down 900 grand for the year.
Wow.
You know? So yeah, I mean, people don't like the respect for business owners that I have, you know, I mean, you know, we get into this conversation, but, my freedom doesn't end where your fear begins.
Yes.
Right. So,
Amen.
if you want to stay home, stay home. I don't care.
Yep.
You want to wear 5 masks? Go ahead. All about it.
Yep.
But I mean, I want people to think with, when you walk into a beautiful restaurant and the music's just right and you have a great date with your wife or a girlfriend, and you're having this great time, and the server comes over and the server's really well trained and they greet you well, and you're the white tablecloth's there and the lighting is dim, and you're looking across at your spouse and you're having a great conversation. You're enjoying a nice glass of wine that the server recommended because they were educated on the wine, and you have your hors d'oeuvres come out at the perfect time where you don't have to wait, or the appetizer, and you're enjoying that, and then your meals come out and you're just in awe. And the music's just right. You don't even pay attention to all these little details. You go to the restroom, it's clean. You don't even think about it being clean. You would notice if it was dirty, but you don't notice when it's perfectly clean. I do. I look for that stuff. But then you come back to your table, and the dinner's been taken away. And now they're going to bring you a little cup of espresso, and you're going to have a little dessert. That was someone's creation. That you walked into their universe. They put so much time, energy. That music was picked correctly. The lighting was picked correctly. That server was educated on the wine list. That server was educated on how to pair that Merlot with the escargot, or pair the Cab Sav with a certain type of the steak that you ordered. Like, everything was created by this person, and that person was a business owner. That person risked their own finances, their own financial well-being to create that business. They went into debt to create that business for you to enjoy. And business and restaurateurs don't make a ton of money. I mean, if they run it so well, they make 10% margin. Okay. Now you're a coward and you're afraid of the flu if you're not sick. Okay. So if you're a sick person, technically I'm immune compromised according to the medical industry. But you're a coward. You're afraid of a flu. You watch the news all the time. You don't have any health conditions. You believe everything you're told. And now you want that business owner to shut down. You want him to have the elevated stress. You want to take that away from him. Like, that's what I can't, not to get negative, but like, that's what I see happening on planet Earth. I watched my parents open a restaurant and do everything I just told you. I also watched that business go under.
Yep.
So I know, and what 18,000 restaurants in the United States in the first 3 months went through, and they went out of business. 18,000 of them. And all their servers and all their cooks and business owners, right? And janitors, okay? And food supply co. or staffing, right? Like, let's just get into this now. And restaurant supply co. You know what I mean? Like, let's really get into all of the chain.
The whole supply chain that led, and all the multiple brands and multiple people and the truck drivers.
That's just restaurants.
Yeah, that's just restaurants.
So, I want people to picture a future where there is no nice coffee shop on the corner.
Yep.
There is no, you're in Milan, Italy. There is no little espresso shop open for you to sit down with your girlfriend and take a photo at, because it's out of business.
Yep.
That's what we're voting for now when we vote with fear. So I don't want to get too heavy. We'll lighten it up.
No. I like it, because I think here's what I like about, because I'm not the guy that you can get too heavy with, because I get that heavy.
Yeah.
What I like is that you're changing the paradigm for people to think, going, look, this is a potential future that we have. You're going to have to outthink it, outperform it, out-strategize it. And you're going to have to 10x everything, because these waves of insanity could come your way. And if you're not ready for it, as a business, then you like an immunity, you've got to build up your immunity through strength.
Correct.
And now you're building that with the business.
The adaptation that a lot of businesses made prepares them for the future. My friends own a sushi restaurant in England. Super, super cool group. Okay. Mm-hmm. And they grew. They grew. And they adapted. Now, I'm not a cruel businessman, but it is adapt or die. However, that person that ran that restaurant, just because they didn't know how to adapt, like, do they deserve that?
No.
Do you know what I mean? Like, people could have stayed home. So people need to be aware of what's coming. I mean, and what they also need to understand is this. See, I'm a businessman. So when I get a deal, when someone closes a deal, that didn't happen by accident.
Right.
You know, when we get a wave of customers that come in, that didn't happen by accident. When I get people who join my company, that didn't happen by accident. There are reasons for conditions. If there are bad conditions, there are, generally speaking, people behind it. If I have my sales floor all stops performing, there's someone on my sales floor who's negative. There's someone on my sales floor who's spreading negativity. That person needs to be handled. Yeah. That person needs to be taken care of, right? And in society, that's the big issue right now is people are still thinking that this is just some fluke accident instead of just looking for the cause.
Yeah.
And as a business owner, and that's why I was trying to share that whole picture of the restaurant going under. Mm-hmm. I understand that because I'm a business owner. You know, it's so easy for these people to talk about nurses being our frontline heroes. I got no problems with nurses.
Yep.
Nurses signed up for that, dude. They signed up for that. You know, they signed up to take care of sick people and expose themselves to that. Okay. It's something they signed up for. The restaurant owner gets zero credit, gets crushed completely, and we don't even talk about them.
That's true. You know, you bring up a lot of good social points, and believe me, you've been in my head for the last year because you're sounding exactly like I've been sounding as we're pummeling the people that build our community.
Yeah.
Well, all in the name of fear that we're afraid of a flu.
100%. I mean, just look at it this too, right? Like the people we're not punishing, you know, when you go to the DMV, you know, the Department of Motor Vehicles, you know, when you go to City Hall and you pay a ticket, when you deal with a bylaw officer, when you deal with the school council,
yep.
Okay. How good of service do you get? You know,
crappy, and they get paid no matter what.
That's right. We're incentivizing these people.
Yeah.
And we're punishing the people where when you go to a business and you get treated so well and they bend over backwards for you and you call them and it's 5:05 and they pick up the phone even though they closed at 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
You walk in and they're closing up at 5:15 and they close at 5 and they're like, hey, do you need it? What? I'm like, dude, like this happened to me. I was in Calgary and not these shoes, but literally exact pair just earlier in my career.
Yeah.
I was running a gala for one of my companies and I left my black shiny shoes in Vancouver and I'm in Calgary. And it's 6:15 on a Saturday in downtown Calgary. And I got my tux. And I'm the host. I'm the chief. I'm the guy. It's a red carpet party. I got a black tux, black pinstripe tux with the bow and everything. But all I have are brown shoes. I can't wear brown shoes with to a white tie party.
Right.
So I start calling all the shoe stores, and the shoe store opens called, I think it was called Ultimate Shoes, something like this, in downtown Calgary. And what was funny was they answered, and I'm like, "Oh, are you guys are open?" He's like, "No, we're closed, but we just have a rule. We always answer the phone." Call the government for your passport because you need to get a passport rushed. You need a passport last minute. Call them at 6:01. Call them at 5:59 when they close at 6. They don't open.
No,
you know. And these are the same people that brag to you about, oh, I get so many benefits. Oh, I get 8 weeks of vacation. Oh, I don't have to work that hard. I show up at 9 and I leave at 4.
Yep.
You're doing that with my money.
I know.
You know.
Yeah. And you're doing it with my overprinted money.
My overprinted money. That's right. So you're doing it with even more of my money. And then here's the other aspect is like, you know, they're doing that with your money, right? But then they have the audacity to come on and say, we need more of your money. We need more tax dollars. And what they've done, see, I'm actually a centrist. Like, I believe that, like, if I educate my people. I hire them, and then I pour money into educating them, period. The more educated they are, and I mean educated, not brainwashed, like educated, like teach them how to think, teach them how to sell, how to communicate, how to do their job, how to be competent, okay? Not just confident, because competence creates confidence, right?
Yes.
The more money I pour into their education, the better of a company I have, right? You and I both know that. The more money we pour into education, the better of a country we'll have.
Amen.
But our education system is broken. That's the only thing. So the money exists, though. That's the problem.
Mm-hmm.
We've divided the culture like, oh, you got one group who are conservatives, and I'm fiscally a conservative, but socially I'm not.
Yeah.
You know, socially, like, dude, you want to kiss a dude and whatever. I don't care. Go kiss the dude. You know, get married to him. I don't care. Like, not my thing. Not my conversation to have. But they go on TV and they say, we need more money. You know, these guys on the right, they don't want to pay for schooling, and they don't want to pay for hospitals, and they don't want to pay for. And it's like, dude, that's an exchange. That's not socialism. If I pay for hospitals and I go to the hospital and the hospital service is great, that's fair. I'm okay with that. But where they've tricked everybody now, and I'm going to pull this all back to business education and why it's so important, is they've convinced us that there's not enough money already. There's enough money right now being taxed to have perfect streets. There's enough money right now without raising anyone's taxes to have free college and education for everybody. Mm-hmm. There is enough money already being taxed. There's enough money to have a great emergency healthcare system. You know, meaning if you let yourself go and you have some degenerative disease, that's on you. You pay for that with your insurance. But an emergency system, meaning if you get a car accident, if you get, you know what I mean? Like that can be paid for, no problem. There's enough money for that. There's enough money for us to have the best schools in the world at an elementary and high school level, where we teach kids everything's about money and sales and martial arts and music and sports, and have after school programs. There's enough money for all this. But what they've done now is they divided everybody by saying there's not enough money. We need to tax these 1% guys. That's fucking me. I'm not a Bilderberg. I'm not a friggin', you know, I'm not a Rothschild or a Rockefeller or a George Soros or a Jeff Bezos. 1%'s me.
Yep.
Like 400 and some odd thousand up. It's like you have no idea what you're talking about. Like you maybe want to talk about the 0.1%, but it's still not even the point. The point is they're taking enough of our money. They're just squandering it, misappropriating it, right? They're they're taking the money and they're giving it to people they shouldn't be giving it to. They're stealing it. Yep. And as a business owner, I'm now looking, now that I've been educated in business for a decade, I look at the world's problems and I say, I look at the world's problems and I say, dude, like if we just fix the people, just fix the ethics, fix the people, the people running the country just need to be handled. There's enough money for all of us. Like we should audit the government. So go ahead. Oh, so I was just going to say, final point is everything I've learned now, I started in sales. Start knocking doors, learn how to handle people. As soon as you learn how to handle people, then learn how to handle numbers. You learn how to handle numbers, you know how to handle people, you will see the planet for what it really is. You're not going to be manipulated by the news because you're like, oh, that's a sales pitch. You're going to see them come online, Fox News or CNN or MSNBC or Global. You're going to come on, you're like, oh, that's a sales pitch. Oh, he just used an agreeable statement on me. Oh, he's using agreement early, and now he's going to introduce a point of controversy. Oh, I see what he's doing there. That's called a flip side statement. It's a manipulation tactic. Oh, I see what he's doing there. He's doing a reframe. Oh, that's an objection handle. You start seeing what this planet is, and that's what I'm trying to do with YESA is I take these kids, they are kids, and whether they're 28 or they're 19, they're kids. We teach them how to sell, how persuasion works, how marketing works, how business works. And they then go out into the world, and now they're not manipulated by the media. I don't need to go and pick it with these, Occupy guys.
Yeah. No.
Right now.
You're getting to the core, which is you're changing people. If we change people, we'll change the society, we'll change the conditions. Only, you talked about how these bad conditions are created by bad people, but the reverse is true as well. And that's what you're doing at YESA, which is, hey, if I create a whole new crew, a whole new breed of people that, like you said, understand people, understand sales, understand numbers, then they'll see that for what it is, and they'll go out and start to educate other people, and we'll begin a wave. I think
100%. That's what needs to happen. And the other point is this: we let all this happen.
Yeah.
We created all this. When I came back to Canada and they started asking me all these communistic questions and telling me I'm going to have to quarantine, which I didn't do because I wasn't sick. I took a negative test for this 99.9% survival disease anyway. Yep. So I'm not going to follow that rule. It's a violation of my rights. Thank you. Well, you want to write me a fine? That's okay. But I'm not a victim to that. I'm like, oh, I let this happen.
Yep.
I didn't get involved with my community. I didn't get involved with my members of parliament. I didn't get involved with my government. I was so focused on my own muscle car, my own square of 120 by 60 feet, my own lawn. I was so concerned with my own little world. I wasn't thinking about my country. I wasn't thinking about, oh, maybe we shouldn't be buying everything made in China.
Yep.
Because it's cheaper. Maybe we shouldn't be giving money to a government that's an oppressive regime. So now everyone needs to look at the situation that we're in right now, the current marketplace, and understand that there's going to be a few things that are going to create the next wave of success and the next wave of failure. If I can share them.
Please.
Next wave is this. One, the media is going to try and rob everybody of their responsibility.
Yep.
But the people that they convince are victims are going to be doomed. And that includes the business owners. That includes the conspiracy guys, right wing or left wing. The people who think they're awake and all they do is post stuff on the internet about, George Soros is oppressing us. Oh, the Democrats are evil. Oh, dude, like, you're still a victim. It doesn't matter if you're speaking truth or not. You're still a victim.
Yeah.
Right? So anyone who becomes a victim gets robbed of their responsibility. They're going to fail. That's number one. Number two is anyone who doesn't treat this like a game and look at it like I'm a player. I'm a video game player. I need to level this guy up. Like Corrie right now needs to get better at negotiation, needs to get better at marketing, needs to get better at ultimately community involvement, building my brand. And I probably need to get a little bit more politically correct, so I'm a little less of an asshole, so that I can influence the middle. Because I can influence the extreme people, no problem. I need to get at influencing the middle. So long and short, anyone who gets robbed of their responsibility, they're going to fail moving forward. Whether it's down the conspiracy rabbit hole, they're going to flunk. If they're looking at how other people are responsible, whether it's Bill Gates or the Communist Party of China, aka the Democrats, if they're blaming other people for their issue and their situation, they're going to fail. And two is if they're not leveling up their character, if they don't look at this guy from a third person and say, I gotta shape this guy, make him fitter, make him sexier, make him more persuasive. Like if they're not looking
more intelligent, more skilled, more everything. Yeah.
Everything, they're going to get eaten up.
Yeah. Makes sense. Makes total sense. I love this. Corrie, I've been publishing your website, yesa.ca at the bottom. Hopefully everybody visits you. Hey, look, when you're ever in Vegas, when this 10X conference, you and I are going out for a steak and a bourbon.
100%. I'm into it. And to be real, that's when I do enjoy a little bit of alcohol, like if I earn it. So let's just make sure I earn it.
You earn it.
I'll have a glass of wine. You will have a bourbon for sure. I just got to make sure I hit some targets.
I love that. I love that. And I hopefully, maybe in about 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, when you've developed this post-COVID BS Excel program that you're doing, I'd love to have you back on the show
for sure.
And maybe talk about some of the people that you're working with, some of the training programs that you're doing. We'll go a little bit more deep dive on that. But I've been really inspired by you. I love your energy. I love your focus. I love your just top tier sense of responsibility. I've been taking notes the entire time. So if you see me looking down like this, it's because I'm writing down these golden nuggets that you're dropping here. So
I appreciate that. Thank you for having me. I know we went a little over because I've got a guy banging on my door here, but I appreciate it. Let's do it again soon. And everybody else, check us out, yesa.ca. And we have our podcast coming up called School of the 1%, which is basically this. It's study the 1%, join the 1%.
I love that. Great topic.
All right, Edwin, thank you so much. Let's you and I sync. We'll do a wrap up after this, but I got to run.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you for.
Speak to you soon.
All right, bye-bye.